Hello, we are at the Host Spot Gala again, and I am with our guest speaker, Mr. Kevin Claridge from the Mote Marine Laboratory. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I'm Vice President of Sponsored Research and Coastal Policy Programs at Mote. That, in short, that means assist all of our research programs, about 25 now, with all of the proposals, contracts, grants, politics, permits, connections to partners, all those types of things.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't been to Mote yet, but it sounds like a really cool place to
That's
go.
amazing. Yes. You have basically three different pieces of Mote: the education arm, which draws in interns and fellows and STEM education classes. Public-facing aquarium is usually what people most relate to Mote, but the piece I work with, as mentioned, is the research side of the house.
So what is the most important thing you would say that you want more people to know about Mote and what they do?
And again, as mentioned, a lot of people know Mote for the awesome aquarium, and we're excited about the new open and the build of our new Mote Sea Science Education Aquarium at the Nathan Benderson Park, probably late 2024. But behind the scenes that people may not know as much are the research programs. So again, about 25 research programs. And what makes it most exciting is just the cutting edge science and research that we're doing here. Really applied science, solving issues to assist not only the state of Florida, but really on an international landscape.
Well, thank you for briefly talking with me, and I'm excited to hear more about what you'll be speaking with your presentation at the Gala, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hopefully everyone's aware of Mote Marine Laboratory. Over in City Islands in Sarasota, just a little bit south of us. Here, about 6 campuses now. 68-year-old independent nonprofit marine research institution. We have about, getting closer to 300 employees now, growing fast. About 1,500 volunteers, non-stop interns and fellowships and STEM education classes. That's just an aerial shot. Also, mostly known for our public-facing aquarium. If you can go to the next slide, probably most question I would get when I'm around is, what's the status of our new aquarium that we're building out in Benderson Park there in Sarasota? That's right by the University Town Center area, right there by I-75. Broke ground in 2020, making a lot of headway. If you drive by now, you'll start to see us coming out of the earth, if you will, a little bit there, moving and moving vertical. It's going to be 110,000 square feet, 1 million gallons of water. It's an area really where we can take the Mote science and translate and transfer that to the public in a very easy fashion. Especially much easier out by I-75 than if anyone's ever drove across Ringling or trying to get over. It's a tough drive in to get over to the island. There we'll also have K through 12 STEM education classes as well as STEM workforce classes. So probably latter part of 2024, you'll be able to visit us there at the new aquarium location. I don't have video, but you can go on. That's good. You can go online. There's like a little fly-through video of the entire aquarium. If you're interested in checking that out, kind of the behind-the-scenes sneak preview. Next slide. So again, mentioned we have about 25 different research programs. We have aquarium, we have education, and a research program. So about 25 different education programs. The short time I have here tonight, I just wanted to bring up 2 of them. Obviously, we're talking a lot about harmful algal blooms likely in this southwest Florida area to provide some hope in what's going on. Beyond Mother Nature, moving in with temperature or rain to be able to assist us with harmful algal blooms, we're trying to bring in some science. Just in 2019, we, in partnership with the state of Florida, launched the Florida Red Tide Mitigation and Technology Development Initiative. We're now entering, getting closer to year 5 more than year 4. This was an $18 million appropriation, $3 million a year over 6 years. And this law and this funding sunsets in 2025. So we're in the last 2 years, the throes of actually moving some of the science that we've been developing over the last 3-4 years into actual implementation and commercialization. We have numerous reporting requirements. I can fill you in. A lot of it's online if you're interested in seeing more about that. But basically, the intent is to develop mitigation tools tools and tools and technologies. Thank you to address the impacts for Florida communities from red tide. Some of the funding was to develop a cutting-edge lab space out of their aquaculture park, which is a little bit east of I-75. And we developed, the main game again is to develop tools and technologies that could actually move to utilization by our cities, our counties, our HOAs, our marinas and so forth to help with the impacts of red tide. And the last bullet there, again, we're moving highly towards regulatory oversight and commercialization steps. A lot of regulatory boxes to check before, and rightfully so, before you could ever consider going out into, again, canals, marinas, open water. Next slide, please. So on that's just on the left there's the report. You can find it online. This provides all the details about all the projects that are going on. We've looked at 200, probably well over 250 different potential mitigation tools through a very structured, tiered testing, science-based process. So you're starting at basically a beaker or the tabletop or even the literature. You're moving it up to in one tank, a larger tank, and along the way, while you're introducing the Caribbean brevis, the algae that causes the red tide, you're also introducing components from the natural system, seagrass. You're looking at water quality, fish, shrimp, crabs, urchins, all those types of things. And what potential impact, if anything you're even considering, what would that be on the ecosystem itself? We've, actually now we've had 5 RFPs, requests for proposals. One is presently open now, and we've had 4 webinars on that, 6 technology advisory public meetings for feedback from public and all of our partners. Looked at well over 100 proposals, looked at 35, we have about 35 projects either completed or underway at this time. Numerous partners, thanks to all our research partners, really on a global scale. We're talking to everybody across the globe and what they've been utilizing and doing for harmful algal bloom mitigation. We're not the only spot in the world dealing with harmful algal blooms. A lot of other folks are facing similar water quality problems with nearshore impacts. So again, you get other boxes there, so you can go online and find out more about all the different projects and the status of those. But probably want to come here for the hope of, there's about a dozen that are looking promising. So we've looked at well over 250. And in science, you fail a lot. So you off-ramp those. Maybe had too much of an impact to the ecosystem or something. Maybe didn't have the impact that we wanted to see on the cell and the toxin to be able to knock it back. Next slide, please. So within that report, I was just showing there's one section where you can actually drill down to actually those mitigation tools that, and then the status of those, and that's that little image to the right, a little small for this room, probably to be able to see some of those. But the bullets there on the left kind of give a high-level overview. Happy to discuss in more detail. These are all from our partners and most scientists. Looking at natural compounds from natural macroalgae and encapsulating those and looking at the possibly of an appellant where you can put those out where it actually acts as an algaecide. We have water treatment systems, so you can have a similar to drinking water, wastewater systems where you would pump it through either in a near shore on a seawall or in a barge to be able to quickly work on the cell and toxin. Other bullets there, moving through some quick. Some are existing products from agriculture, mining cleanup, again, drinking, wastewater, that may be used in blue-green algae cleanups. So some of those are seeing a lot of promise for also red tide. We're also working on the regulatory components of those. Autonomous robots that can actually use light reflection to see which phytoplankton is out in the water and pull that up through a cavitation process that annihilates it at high pressure and high temperature. Bottom 3 bullets are put in different color, not necessarily mitigating from the front if you're thinking of an incoming bloom and wanting to put something down on the red tide, but you need to remove those dead fish and moving those for commercialization use for golf courses or nearshore waters and parks and things like that, rather than remaining in the water and continually adding to that nutrient base. Biosensors, so we can help our shellfish farmers quicker and better analyze what's going on with the seawater and the meat of the clam and the oyster and the shellfish and those types of things so they can make a better and more informed decision on what's going on with the toxin. And also updates to our beach condition reporting system. I know many of the in this area rely on that, so you look at your app, you go to visitbeaches.org, you want to know very quickly where is the red tide, what is what's going on with the respiratory irritation or dead fish in this area, and it reports a whole slew of other things. So take a look at the report. If you have questions, I'm happy to have long conversations on any of those tools or technologies. Next slide. Let's see, looking ahead for the Red Tide Initiative, we're moving, so those tiers, we're moving into those last tiers, into the regulatory steps, into the commercialization. We're looking for partners, so City of Dunedin, Pinellas County. We need mitigation testing areas off of docks, off of seawalls. We can look at, Red Tide is very patchy, so we need to be able to maximize where it's at to be able to go out and test some of these tools and technologies in a safe manner. We're building on a workshop. We had over 75 attendees at Mote Aquaculture Park. We're going to have another one in August. It's bringing everyone together to look at all these things. It's complicated from the science piece to get it out to the water. You've got the science component. You've got figure out how you're going to deploy that. You have regulatory steps from EPA, Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, Army Corps of Engineers, Coast Guard, Department of Environmental Protection, Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and Department of Health all have oversight of possible distribution or deployment of a mitigation tool. So we're moving towards that commercialization step. Hope to come back to this maybe same venue next year and share some of the progress that we've made. But one of the cool things that I want to share that the country was watching with what Florida was doing with harmful algal bloom technologies. And they wanted to do the same thing. So they launched, in partnership with NOAA, we are now partnering with the University of Maryland and NOAA funding, the U.S. Harmful Algal Bloom Control Technologies Incubator, taking basically what we've done in Florida on the southwest coast on a national scale. Give the next slide, please. So here's our partnership. Again, you can probably skip this, go to the next slide. What this is looking and building upon all the tools across the country, fresh and marine, to find the scalability, environmental acceptable, cost-effective ways to treat harmful algal blooms. Again, Mother Nature finds a way to push these back or comes to certain seasons, but a lot of the science isn't there, or it's very elementary to be able to organize all of this so that these tools are in the toolbox for local governments to make a decision whether they want to have these available to be able to work on the nearshore waters. So that's underway right now. We're also, as part of this, the regulatory process, as I talked about, is quite complicated, especially state by state, so that'll all be organized under this to actually organize several different federal government oversights and state oversights, hopefully into a clear path for harmful algal bloom mitigation. Next slide. I think that was it. So, taking what the state has done, a lot of progress on the Florida Red Tide Mitigation Initiative to produce tools and technology. Stay tuned, watch the website, you can see the progress that's going on. We want to do testing here, we want to be involved locally, we want to come back and make sure we socialize and share everything we do to get feedback on what's going on. So, thank you.